Looking like the president, but I can't vote, boy. Picked him out from miles away, he in my scope, boy. How you speaking on my name and making no noise?
You said something about C Murder. I asked Diesel this, and I know you did time with Diesel, right? You was
Man,
back there
Diesel
with.
grew up together. Shout out to Lil Diesel. You heard me out the milk. Yeah.
What's your take on that 10-2 law?
Well, I ain't gonna say I started it. That's not true. But amongst our era of people, because it started back in the Johnson case in the '70s, right? It was the Johnson case. They were the first ones to bring it to the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court. We got denied, right? So what that issue was is this. In 1898, Louisiana held a constitutional convention and said, "Hey, look, we lost the Civil War, so we need to the Constitution hasn't abolished slavery. It says slavery is abolished unless you convicted of a crime." So these demented, wicked-minded motherfuckers got together and said, "Well, look, we need our crops picked. We need to, we need to boost this prison industrial shit. We need to, get slavery back legal. So we got to fast track them and convict them easier. So instead of having a unanimous all 12, Louisiana decided to say, look, just make it 10-2. At first it went from 9. You heard me? It was that. Then it changed it to 10-2. So a minimum of 10 had to say convicted, right? Because when they first did it, it was 9. Like, that's how low they went. Mm-hmm. So somebody said, okay, well, we're going a little too far. Let's make it 10, right? So they allowed it. So Louisiana and Oregon is the only 2 states that allowed that, right? That did that. But Oregon still was not allowing you to get a life sentence. Louisiana was. They go overboard, bro, in Louisiana. You heard me? So Louisiana said, shit, fuck that. We go, whatever they get, that's on their ass. Come up, we need them. We need that cotton pick. We need them corn, that turnips and all that shit. Remember, I seen all that shit. The only thing I ain't do was pick no cotton. I'll talk about that later, you heard me? But so that's how the 10-2 issue came about. So when I got there in the 90s, and I heard, I'm just researching, because now I'm bored out of court. So I got to find something to get me back in court. So I'm researching, I'm talking to people, and then boom, I discovered that. You know what I'm saying? So I shared that with C. You know what I'm saying? He had them Harvard lawyers at the time. He had some lawyers from Harvard. You know what I'm saying? John Ashcroft, different lawyers like that, And so we tried it, and C went to the Supreme Court back then with it, and they denied to hear him. See, the United States Supreme Court could choose to hear your case or not. See, a lot of people don't know that. They could choose to hear your case or not. So they chose not to hear Corey Miller's case back then. You see what I'm saying? They just chose not to hear it. So that means the issue was dead. So they say the United States Supreme Court only accept like 1,000 cases a year. So out of, you got, 100,000, 300,000 cases, they only accept like 5-10% of the cases that's presented to them throughout every year. So it took us from there all the way to 2000 and, 2020 something, to with the Ramos case. Attorneys got that case, took it up there to the United States Supreme Court. Boom, we won that shit. They said, man, that's wrong, man. We know that shit. We been knew it was wrong. We just was allowing y'all to get away with it until somebody came when the proper quorum, the proper people on that board in the United States Supreme Court, was ready to give in with that shit and be like, hey, bro, stop doing that shit. But they didn't say make it retroactive. So Louisiana, with they demented minded, they wicked evil shit, they said, well, look, we ain't about to make it retroactive. U.S. Supreme Court didn't say it. We ain't about to make it retroactive. So look, we gonna stop because they ordered us to stop. But all y'all that we did it to, the numbers is back and forth. Some say 600, some say 1,500. But whatever it is, it's too many people to be wrongfully. I'm one of them. I just got out because we changed the law on the juvenile issue because I was under the age of 18 when they automatically gave me life without parole. So now you can't just automatically give anybody under the age of 18 life without parole. So we had to change the law. I got with Brian Stevenson. Shout out to Brian Stevenson at the Equal Justice Initiative. That's a real attorney. That's a real man. That man saw what was going on. He knew that the prefrontal cortex, or the frontal lobe of the brain, which controls rational thinking, is not fully developed until the age of 25. Therefore, a child, whether he did the crime or not, is more prone to act irrational in any type of situation. So a lot of children that's committing crimes, man, I mean, although it's heinous and things of that nature there, they saying you can't just throw them away for the rest of their life because they're going to grow and evolve. They're going to mature. Their prefrontal cortex is going to mature. They're not going to be acting irrational 20, 30 years down the line. So they say, well, look, we're going to start giving corrigibility after 25 years, things of that nature, which is another unconstitutional violation because you can't pick a punishment today for a crime that already happened. Boy, look, I'm going to start a law class in this month.
No, bitch ain't bigger than the program. Bitch ain't bigger than the program. Bitch ain't bigger than the program. And that's something we need to remember. Bitch ain't bigger than the program. I ain't no nigga bigger than the program.